But Brienne asks, she's like, my lady, what is it? Is it some news of your sons? And this is
I have no sons but Rob! What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate. Joining me, as always, is my brother, Jackoff Zach.
Well, hiya.
There he is.
We're just real chipper on this podcast today.
Yeah, we are.
Anyway, if you've joined us before, thank you for coming back. If you haven't joined us, we are full spoiler. This is your warning at the top of the show. Go away now, because we like to talk about it all congruently.
Unless you don't mind spoilers, in which case, who gives a fuck?
Nah.
Bran and Rickon aren't really dead. It was just a faux pas.
A faux pas.
There it is.
Anyway.
Yeah, last episode, we were reading Tyrion 12. He still has a few more chapters left in the series. He was initially preparing for a meal with his sister and got some news as he was making his way there from Varys that the Stark boys had been killed by Theon Greyjoy. Whether that was true or not, they weren't there to decide. And he gets into the meeting with Cersei, gives her that news. She's not pleased. Then she drops the bomb that she has his whore. And she didn't. No,
she has Elia. And Tyrion plays it off as if it were Shay. And Elia does as well. And Tyrion promises that he will hurt Cersei for this. And says that any bond between them that caused him not to cause her harm because of their siblingness is ended now, and she better watch your fucking back, yo.
Watch your fucking back.
And with that, he took his leave, returned to Shay, and found that he couldn't quite pleasure her the way he wanted and she wanted, and ended up just laying there listening to her breathing, kind of thinking about his fucked up sister. And so this episode, we are joining Catelyn, and This is Catelyn's last
the final chapter
in A Clash of Kings. And so last we left Catelyn has been pretty broody about the whole situation.
Yeah, between Ned dying and Edmure not listening to her and taking it upon himself to, issue the commands in place of Hoster, leading his armies out to face the Lannisters successfully, apparently, at the moment. And she's just not thrilled with it. She has this uneasy feeling during all that battle, even though she can see him winning. Mm-hmm. She still wasn't. She was like, this isn't sitting right with me. I don't like it.
Yeah, Brienne joined her service and has been diddy bopping at her side. Catelyn's been pretty harsh on her as far as the beauty and the acting like a lady, but Brienne's a badass, so Cat needs to chill.
Back off.
And yeah, Cat just brings a gritty, moody realism to the books that's just been pretty dour, and this is our
final scene
bit
of
with
that.
her. And as we jump into it, we're full spoiler. This is Cat and Brienne will be having dinner, and then she has the discussion with Jaime. And I just think the way Martin sets it up is so fucking brilliant, because this is the last bit we're going to get with Catelyn and Jaime Lannister, both. And so Jaime's about to become a POV that we're going to get. Right. And so this is the first extended dialogue that we get with him, where he's quippy, he's intelligent.
Right.
But he's a smartass, and he's arrogant, and he's very callous, and doesn't seem repentant at all for the evil things that he's done. And just the way it builds up, knowing that we're going to be getting him, and the fact that he only calls Brienne wench when they're together, you can see the foundation for that here. Where
that witticism coming in.
And also just, he's been captured for, a book and a quarter about?
Yeah, quite a while
He was about 3/4 into Game of Thrones. He was taken captive at Whispering Wood, and so in all of this book, and this is the only time we've seen him, is this conversation, which I think is absolutely intentional to show how far he's fallen, but how beautiful he still is in Cat's eyes. So we open with Cat and Brienne.
Yeah, alone in the Great Hall feasting. Brienne is feasting. All the other people of the castle are out celebrating.
Yeah,
their
fucking party.
What are you pointing at over here?
It's going dark. make sure.
Oh,
that,
I get ya.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, technical stuff. They are... Where was I? They're in the Great Hall eating. She had sent away all the servants even. There's nobody left to serve them, so they are actually just by themselves.
Yeah, everybody's...
And it's pretty gloomy in there. Between her attitude, one of the torches has gone out, and Brienne's, just... Now, at first I was thinking that Brienne was just shoveling food into her mouth. I don't think that's actually the case. I don't think that Brienne's some kind of slob or anything, or that she eats very loud.
Catelyn is just very hypersensitive to things
it's
right
very
now.
quiet in there with just the two of them. That's the only noise that's being made is her eating.
Cat is definitely in either a mild or a severe form of shock. She just got the news that her two youngest are dead.
Right.
She's still responding to that. It's this very day
that morning. Yeah.
And so, of course she's hypersensitive to Brienne's fucking eating, and, I feel you, Kat.
Yeah, and she can't blame, the people for not caring, because, A, they don't even fucking know, and B, they didn't know her boys the way that she knew them. And she goes in to describe, they'd never seen Bran climb. They'd never had that fear as well as that pride when he's doing those things.
I think this little bit is an example of two things. One, a lot of people claim that Catelyn dotes on Bran a lot more than any other child. And I think that's evidence here as well, because Bran is just climbing and fucking making Mama proud and terrified all at the same time. Whereas little baby Rickon...
He was just a baby.
They never smiled to see Rickon trying so fiercely to be like his brothers. So again, we get the description and the word play of associated with Rickon, where the fierce eyes were looking at Jon in this chapter.
Now, I also, to further back that theory of yours, the following line I think is even more important. He never so fiercely tried to be like his brothers.
Yeah.
There's only one brother left in Winterfell right now for him to emulate. The one with green sight.
Yeah.
So if he sees Bran constantly training with the reeds, learning how to enhance his green sight, what else is Rickon going to do but try fiercely to be just like his brother and learn the green sight? So maybe this little kid's a fucking savant of green sight. He's just handling it right there.
Yeah.
But
so I like the way it was written. It said Brienne, Cat notes that Brienne is eating like it's another chore to be accomplished.
Yeah.
And so, I think Brienne is picking as well. Brienne is in here because she's depressed. She just lost Renly still.
Right.
She's still devastated by that. And so she's, I think, similar to Kat, where she's just picking, every now and then, absent-mindedly putting a piece of chicken or something in her mouth. But Kat thinks, I am become a sour woman. Song and laughter have become suspicious strangers to me. I am a creature of grief and dust and bitter longings. I mean, Stoneheart.
Yeah,
Stoneheart imagery. There is an empty place
get a lot of that
within me where my heart once was.
Yeah. I mean, and I Archmaester June mentioned it as well. I really also agree with her. This chapter is where, and granted we've been pointing it out throughout.
They're almost exact mirrors.
We're starting to, I was going to mention Stoneheart is really starting to reveal herself in this chapter.
Yeah.
This is where that cold callous is finally kind of, because she just lost her two babies. This is that breaking point now. And she'll say shortly as well that she's pretty sure that Arya's dead too.
She's lost Ned. Her father's dying.
So what else? This is it.
Yep.
She's fucking done, man. So
yeah. And also that line struck me as well. And Archmaester June mentioned the comparisons to Cersei here, and between the last chapter we saw Cersei and the Tyrion, where it's just dinner and conversation between those two, and now this one is just dinner and then conversation with Kat and Jaime, and so it's a super good mirrored reflection, and
especially because the hot topic points touched upon of their children,
losing their children is the theme for both Cersei and Catelyn at the moment, and watching their different reactions. Cersei lashes out; she's very antagonistic and aggressive, taking action before even perceived
similarly
threats.
Kat does the same type of thing where she makes these plans and plots to kill and fucking wishes death on these people. However, she I think,
follows
is a little
it through to
more
her logical
calculated.
conclusion.
Yeah, where she
I'm
thinks
never
it-
going to get the chance to strangle
Right.
Cersei as much as I'd want to.
Right.
I need Robb to defeat.
And that's what, and Martin does really good. Again, the format's gonna be slightly skewed with this episode, just because there's so much dialogue
Right.
that happens in this that we're not gonna pick it that necessarily that way. But, how, full spoiler, we know that she asks for the sword. She doesn't kill Jaime.
No.
She breaks his chains, and for her to show all this contempt throughout the whole chapter and just this hatred. And then to twist that comes Storm of Swords, like this surprise motherfucker.
Right.
Like
it's a Cersei. It's a very Cersei thing to do.
Yeah.
Of how can I use this person to get my children safe? And
Right.
that's exactly what Kat's doing here. And they are very similar women, and it's very interesting to watch the difference. And Archmaester June also pointed out Stoneheart and what Cersei becomes later in Feast, this hollow, horrid shell of a woman. And so it's so interesting. But it's at this point that Brienne's eating begins annoying Kat. And in my notes I just wrote same because I'm annoyed by the sounds of people eating.
And so
Kat's
she's
like, why don't you go down to the party and you'd have fun down there? You could go eat down there loudly and no one would fucking hear you.
I like Brienne saying, I'm well content. Nah.
I'm not meant for parties.
I'm good. That's it.
So she's the kid in the corner at a party who's just like, you don't talk to me, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, and Kat kind of sympathizes, gets why, and, doesn't really force her to, when all of a sudden she realizes that she's just fucking blurting everything out that she, for some reason, was keeping a secret.
Yeah,
she hadn't told anyone.
There was another bird this morning. No one but her and Maester Vyman were aware of its contents, and she had originally intended to keep it that way, but as she starts to kind of talk about it, she berates herself, telling herself that holding it secret won't make it any less true.
Now, and this is something that I noted heavily, just because I kind of deal with this stuff. And, it's not uncommon, but, it's fucked that she's sitting there putting that on herself. It's all, between keeping it a secret, of course you don't want to talk about it, because that makes it real. It doesn't make it less true, but it does make it
But who
real.
else is there that would share in her grief? Brienne doesn't know them. Lord Hoster is dying. Robb isn't there.
Edmure
is busy,
and he's not there
being
yet,
a lord,
technically,
playing
anyway,
a lord,
but
and
just in general. And so, to sit there and, hold that to yourself like it's this shameful act. You didn't do anything wrong, but that technically is part of grieving. Absolutely
that's it.
keeping that in.
You put it out in the universe, and then it's something you have to deal with.
Right.
And she continues saying that the bird had come from Castle Kerwin, from Sir Roderick, her castellan at Winterfell. He is marching with all the men he could muster to take Winterfell back. And she thinks just how unimportant all that fucking sounded now.
Which is very important.
Her boys are dead.
Considering the next chapter will be Theon, and so we'll be most likely directly seeing that result.
I also think it's important because of Stoneheart and the GNC. How unimportant all that sounded now. So the loss of her boys has completely, she doesn't care who holds Winterfell.
Right,
It doesn't matter to her. Her boys are dead. So does she find out that they're alive as Stoneheart, and does that renew, or does she have a renewed interest in? Because the GNC kind of bases a whole lot about Robb's will, and that kind of constitutes a concern about Winterfell. And so I just thought that was a very interesting line that she's giving up on Winterfell even in this. And I get that it could just be the grief of the moment, but I just, looking for Stoneheart stuff, thought it stood out. But Brienne asks, she's like, my lady, what is it? Is it some news of your sons? And this is
I have no sons but Robb.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
pretty dramatic.
And she manages to say that she didn't sob, but I essentially hear it like that.
Yeah.
Just she didn't know how else.
Yeah, well,
and it's not to shame her.
No,
how else
Brienne
do you phrase
asked,
that
and
kind of
she's
thing?
losing it. Yeah, she's starting to vocalize
right.
it, and Brienne is just horrified. She's like, my lady? What the fuck does that mean?
And she tells her the boys tried to escape, but Theon fucking strung them up.
Yep, they were taken at Acorn Hill. Yeah, and he's mounted their heads on the walls of Winterfell. Theon, who ate at my table since he was a boy of 10. And Brienne just reaches across the table to, for a moment, take Kat's hand, but then stopped as if the gesture would be unwanted.
Yeah.
So Brienne's uncomfortable with physical
Absolutely.
I mean, understandably,
Yeah,
with
definitely.
the way she's been tormented.
And so once again, Kat blames herself about Theon doing this because she had thought that he was a bad person that might do something and turn on Rob. And so she's saying, like...
I mean, she's right, but essentially it was Rob's mistake.
But that's it. She did counsel him
against
sending Theon.
Right.
But she still is like, it's my fault because I thought that the bad thoughts.
Yeah. Brienne just says, there's no words, my lady. Your sons are at least with the gods now. And Kat says, are they? And she just rants about what kind of gods would let this happen. And she recalls...
What kind of gods would take a baby?
She recalls the scars on her hands and the dire wolves, and she supposes that Theon must have killed the wolves as well. She was certain that the boys would have been safe with their wolves, like Rob is with Greywind. But even my daughters have no wolves now. And so Kat has come to see the significance of those wolves, and that's a big part of... Like, Bran's alive in Summer, and Shaggy had a big part to play in that, leading them away and on the wild goose chase. And so you're right, they did keep them safe.
And I just loved Brienne's response here.
Yeah, she's like,
because she turned to the daughters, and like Bran's like, what the fuck do your daughters have to do with anything? What, huh?
Sansa was already a lady at 3, all courtesies and pleasantries. She loved tales of knightly valor. She'll grow into a woman far more beautiful than I ever was. Arya was a trial, it must be said. Half a boy, half a wolf pup. Forbid her anything, and it became her heart's desire. I despaired ever making a lady of her. She collected scabs as other girls collected dolls. I think she must be dead too. And this is when it feels like she just gets punched right in the chest.
Yeah, because
she's saying it aloud.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
She's basically in her mind acknowledging that her children are dead. At least 3, the 3 youngest. And Jesus, like, yeah, that's a realization to be hitting you all at once. And then she just says, I want them all dead, Brienne. Theon Greyjoy first, then Jaime Lannister, Cersei, the Imp, everyone.
Ellen Payne.
Everyone.
Joffrey.
Everyone.
The Tickler.
Everyone.
Sorry, I just like her list.
No, yeah. Like mother, like daughter. She's got her own little list as well. And Brienne says that, well, maybe the queen will take pity in hearing and send you your... And so, Kat almost laughs at her.
And that's why I love Brienne for this reason.
Yeah, it's adorable.
It's that naivety that she exudes. It's, you know...
that's I think when even Kat softens to her and is like, this is the person I wanted to come to with this, because she smiles sadly and says, there is a sweet innocence about you, Brienne. No, it will be Rob who avenges his brothers with ice. Ned's great sword, ice. And it was always Ned who said that he who passes the sentence should swing the sword. So...
Now, I just thought it was funny, because I think this part was very... Lady Stoneheart-esque, and contradictory, but she says she knows that he's going to be the one, but how she wishes it was her that could have their heads, because that's how they're going to do it. They're going to take their heads. Rob will not be the one taking their head.
No.
They'll be taking Rob's head.
Right. And
that will leave them for... Lady Stoneheart to enact that.
Where Jaime Lannister currently is headed at this very moment in canon.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, the full circle of it.
I sent him wine.
And Brienne's like, what the fuck, dude? Rob or
Bran?
Theon?
What?
Like, what?
Ned. What?
Yeah, and she's like, the Kingslayer. And thinks it had worked for Cleos Frey, getting him good and drunk. Hopefully Jaime Lannister is good and thirsty. And she says, I want you to come with me, Brienne. I'll need you later. And Brienne's like, yeah, of course, my lady. I'm yours to command. And Catelyn's like, cool, chill, eat. I'm going to leave so you can fucking make your parade of noise in peace. But come midnight, I'll send for you.
Yeah. She goes up to see her father.
Yeah.
And it's pretty chill, basically. Maester Vyman.
Oh, I did just want to mention when Brienne's like, why so late? She mentions that the dungeons are windowless, so 1 hour is no different from any other down there. But for me, she says, all hours are midnight now. Like, that's a pretty fucking dark. That's a dark outlook, Kat. But yeah, she goes up to her father's. She can hear the celebration outside, and she gets mad at them, thinking, my father's not dead, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Edmure's not Lord yet, but... She can't blame him still, like, you know.
Right. So she goes up, and the Meister's like, yeah, I just gave him some sleep and stuff. He's not going to be doing anything.
He fucking, oh.
Do you want some, too? And she's like, and I think that this was the first responsible thing, besides just talking about it to somebody with Brienne, but the first responsible thing was her saying that I will not sleep away my grief. Bran and Rickon deserve better.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what she initially did when Bran fell from the window.
Yeah.
She fell from the window, was thrown from the window. She ignored all of her children because of her grief for Bran.
Yeah.
And it was bad, like, to where Robb was having to, like, beg her to come help with Rickon because they couldn't. And so I think that just shows her perseverance in this, like, she losing those two, and she's still growing from what she had done before, and especially in their name, like, no, they deserve better than that. Right. I can do more now.
I also liked the line about her father, the way he's laying there pale and basically dead. She thinks that he is more dead than alive, yet still more alive than my poor sons, which I think is an interesting contrast because essentially Bran is being trained by someone who is just about as immobile as Lord Hoster Tully and as frail, and so maybe destined to become that. And so he's more like just the more dead than alive type thing, and associating with Bran.
Her as
as Stoneheart.
Yeah, right. Stoneheart with the more dead than alive.
And so she grabs his hand and thinks that no matter how tight I hold him, I can't keep him here, and she let him go.
I really like that physical representation where she even was trying to let go of his hand while saying let him go. Like, you need to understand that he's not here anymore. Let him go, but I just can't do that. And that was represented in the lack of hand.
Pulling someone off of life support type decision where, like, he's not here anymore. He's so fucking out of it, so drugged up all the time.
And so she instead tells him of a dream she recently had about I believe it was about the time that she got lost with Lysa.
Her and Lysa got lost riding back from Seaguard. Some strange fog rose and they fell behind the party. Lysa immediately began to cry because there were strange sticks that seemed to grab at their clothing, but Peter knew where we were and rode back and found us. But now there's no one to find us now, is there? Lost in the fog.
And saved by Littlefinger.
Yeah, an interesting little anecdote there. And then she says, I've been thinking a lot of the Stark words. Winter is coming. Well, winter has come for me, motherfucker. And she wants her girls back. She wants Bran and Rickon back. She wants... And then she just kind of loses it and just sits there for a while. Just...
listening to Sir Ryman singing up from down below.
Ryman the Rhymer. Motherfucker.
And it was a while. She didn't even realize it had ended when all of a sudden fucking Brienne is chilling at the doorway. Like,
yep.
Sup, bitch?
You ready to go? And so Kat does finally release her father's hand and follows Brienne. And they go down, and Kat bullies the Gaoler into opening.
Dude, I love how it went down, because he was like, well, the thing is, we were told by Lord Edmure that we're not supposed to let anybody in without a written word from him. And she was like, oh, did my father die and nobody told me? And he was like, what? No. And she's like, well, then how about we walk up to my father's solar and you can explain to him while you're... And he's like, no, never mind. We're good.
So yeah, he goes and unlocks the cell, and she's like, go back to your ale and leave us the fuck alone.
Go fuck off.
And as he does, she tells Brienne to see that she isn't disturbed. So Brienne immediately posts up outside the door, and Catelyn shoves her way in, and shit is rank in here.
Yeah, there's a big pile of shit.
Overflowing shit pail, and the wine sits untouched next to the door, and there's the mound that is Jaime Lannister of just disheveled. He covers his face because the light. His voice is hoarse with disuse as he tells her that he is in no condition to receive her.
My lady, I'm in no fit condition to receive you
And she tells him to look at me, sir. And he does.
Yeah, and we get that first, like...
good description of Jaime.
Like, you want to say that, like, he looks haggard, because he does look haggard. He's got the full beard now. His clothes are just fucking decomposing off of him. His hair is wild, like the bright yellow. Like, I like that he's so descriptive about the yellow. That, like, blonde.
He's like a lion with his crazy mane of hair.
The big beard, but he still looks handsome and beautiful under there somehow.
Yeah. A shaggy beard covered his face, once so like the queen's, which I liked was an interesting. He looks less like Cersei now. He's more lion.
Manly, yeah.
His whiskers, glinting in the torchlight, made him look like some great yellow beast, magnificent even in chains. His hair was long and tangled, his clothes were ragged, his face pale and wasted, and even so, the power and beauty of the man were still apparent. Like, damn. Damn, stud. So she asks him, oh, you didn't have any of the wine. And he's like, well, such sudden generosity seems somewhat suspect. Thank you for not being a fucking idiot, Jaime.
All of a sudden, out the blue.
Yeah, you're going to just give me wine. And he says that she looks terrible, basically just talking some shit. And
Yo, he's talking mad shit. And not that it's okay to womanize like that, but he's just like, man,
yo, like,
you're looking
you
haggard.
can't blame him.
He's been it's prisoner of war. Like,
he's been in a fucking cell shitting in a pail.
But that's it for this long, and he just, man, you look terrible.
At this point, kill me.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
And he's just like,
do.
yeah.
So yeah, he's just giving her shit. He asks if she's come to add more bracelets to his, and she tells him that he's earned it with his escape attempt. And he tells her that a cell is a cell. Some under Casterly Rock make this seem a sunlit garden. Perhaps one day I'll show it to you.
And she right here thinks if he is cowed at all, he hides it well.
Oh, yeah, he's straight up telling her, like, maybe one day I'll be lucky enough to have your fucking ass on the opposite end of where we are here.
And he's just getting started, man. Yeah. Because
she tells him, like, you should speak more. A man in chains should speak more courteously. And she isn't here to be threatened.
Oh, fucked then, is essentially how he comes off with it.
Surely it is to have your pleasure in me then.
Slip on out of that gown. I'll show you a good time. Like, I could use it, I suppose.
It's said that widows grow weary of empty beds. I suppose I could still be of service to you. And she stares at him in revulsion and thinks, was there ever a man as beautiful or as vile as this one?
Dude.
Which, with where it's going, he'll be partnered with one who is as vile and beautiful as Brienne, where it's the contrast, personality,
they're complete
beauty.
Opposites, yeah.
She's a vile-looking human being to most everybody, but Jaime is handsome, and he's vile personality, the complete contrast. And I love it that Brienne is literally standing 5 feet from this conversation.
And she says, Robb would have killed you if he were here to hear that. And he shakes his chains. He's like, as long as I'm wearing these, though.
We both know the boy is afraid to face me in single combat. And she's like, the boy, they just go back and forth for a while.
Which does lead to him delivering one of his most famous lines from the TV show, I believe. There are no men like me. There's only me.
Oh, no. Not quite there. Because she begins to grow weary of it and says that there are things she must know of him.
My bad.
No, you're good, yeah. And he's like, why the fuck would I ever tell you anything? And she says to save his life. And he laughs. And he's like, and similar to Ned, you think my life is some great import to me? Like, and she says that surely his crimes have earned him a place in the deepest hells if the gods are just. And he gives...
Gods?
What,
your gods?
The trees that your husband prayed to? Like, I love that line. The trees your husband prayed to, because...
because I put here, he insults Robb, then he insults the old kings of the north, and then the northern gods. Yeah. Because he's like, so did the old old northern kings also run around hiding behind their mother's skirts? It's like, dude, Robb would be pissed.
If the gods are just, why is the world so full of pain and injustice? And she says, because of men like you.
Yeah, and this is where, good thing we're full spoiler, or else I would have ruined that.
There are no men like me. There is only me. And she says, or thinks, I'm wasting my breath with this one. If ever there was a spark of honor in him, it is long dead.
She says, fuck this, I'm out.
Basically.
And she leaves. She heads for the door. Yep. And so we're going to do the same. See ya.
Drink the wine or piss in it, sir. I don't care. We have a small council to convene.
See ya. Welcome to the small council. That's all I'm doing.
Oh.
You go.
Sup.
Anyway, this is where we like to give you our socials, and let you know how to get in touch with us, so that way you can hear more of that awesome content right there.
Yeah.
Whether you are looking to submit inductees or just have a chat about A Song of Ice and Fire, let us know, random tidbits about your life.
Or you just want to hear our delicious voices saying your name directly into your little ear holes. You can do that as well.
You can do that as well. So the easiest way and most common way to do that is emailing us, withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. If you can't find that, then just open your ear holes, man. It's not hard. It's there.
Not Google.
Go to our website.
Go to our website.
There's a little link there that you can click on. Google. Our website is www.brotherhoodwithout.com. Got it. I killed it. I'm killing it today, man.
And just because it's the theme of things, and we certainly don't want to let things die down, just remember that Black Lives Matter. And if you're still out there protesting, keep going, doing important stuff. We are beginning to see slight change and talk of change, and so we need to keep pushing to ensure that it continues.
The message is starting to be heard.
Yeah,
so
the discussion's starting to be had, exactly, and we need to continue pushing. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep trying to donate if you can donate or help out any cause you can that is progressive to this movement, because, common sense and basic human decency.
Right. So if you would like to reach us other places, you can find us on social media. Twitter @MannersWithout is where you can find Nate. Zach is up there, Carstark92. The Instagram is @MannersWithout as well. We have our Facebook group, facebook.com/brotherhoodpodcast. That's also where you can find the private group that's there. The Brotherhood Without Manners.
You're not going to find it unless you're in the Patreon.
Yeah, you might be able to see it there, but you won't be able to get in. You'll be denied. We've got bouncers out there. We've got some fucking big thugs, some sellswords.
Brienne.
I suppose she's been inducted plenty of times. She's out there fucking...
Like, she's doing it for Cat.
She is doing it for Cat.
So speaking of, let's stop doing this shit.
Okay, let me give the Patreon, so that way they know how to get access to that
Oh my goodness.
Patreon.com/withoutmanners. I appreciate your help in supporting this, Zach, as well as the support of all of our patrons who give us a little bit.
Their support's more important.
Then shut the fuck up so I can thank them for it. Man... They are what allow us to upgrade our equipment.
Shut the fuck up. What do you want me to do here, guy? Thank you, guys.
Thanks for helping us upgrade all our stuff. We appreciate it. And if you would like to join them, do so at the link I just said before. And rate us, review us, do all the good stuff. We'll catch you on the chapter here.
She's almost at the door. She's about to grab the handle.
My lady, wait.
Yo, actually, this is a humanizing moment.
No, absolutely.
My lady... Oh, hold on a minute. Things go to rust in this damn shithole, even a man's courtesies.
I think that's incredibly important, considering what, you pointed out.
Well, because, he's still... And then he goes on to say, you stay and you'll have your answers for a price. I'm not, this isn't some sudden,
I'm still your captive. I'm not going to be your best friend.
I'm still going to tell you you're an ugly bitch, but... If you want to tit for tat, we can tit for tat. I didn't know that's what you were coming in here for. So, you want to talk, let's talk. And she turns and thinks that he has no shame and tells him that a captive does not set the rules, the terms.
Which he tells her, my terms are modest. I want answers too.
Yeah. Answer my questions, I'll answer yours.
Truthfully, you didn't say nothing about the truth. He quotes his brother. My brother Tyrion often said, people often claim to hunger for the truth, but seldom like the taste when it's served up. I love that he quotes Tyrion.
I mean, they're adorable. The devotion they have toward each other, where Tyrion looks up to Jaime so much, but Tyrion is obviously the most intelligent person Jaime knows, and he knows that and credits Tyrion with that multiple times throughout this chapter. And he asks for the wine. He's like, all
right, then.
Let's have that. So she gives it to him, and he takes a nice swig and asks her, all right, what's your first question? And they play 20 questions.
Yeah, they do.
She wastes no time asking immediately, are you Joffrey's father? And he's like, you wouldn't ask that question if you didn't already know. And she's like, I want to hear it. From your fucking
He's like,
lips.
yeah, so are the other ones.
Yep.
Next.
And
that's 2.
Yeah. he asks, my turn, do all my kin still live? And she tells him that Sir Stafford Lannister was killed at Oxcross, but he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
All he
Sir
cares about
Dipshit.
is Tyrion, Cersei, and his father.
All three are fine.
Yep. She asks, how was it Bran came to fall from that tower?
Oh, I threw him. Which is exactly what he does.
And it stuns her. Like, just the casual, I pushed him, I shoved him, I threw him from the window. She is like, holy shit, and thinks if I had a knife, I would kill him right now.
And he's like, well, he shouldn't have been spying on us. It's his own fault for getting thrown. She's like, what? And he's like, well, if you're not going to blame him, blame the gods for putting him up there to see us in the first place. It's their fault.
Yeah, she goes on saying, you meant for him to die, and when he did not, you sent your cat's paw to make certain that he never woke. And he takes another swig and says, did I now? I won't deny, we spoke of it, but the boy was attended constantly by you, his maester, his brothers, his father. And so if I were going to do that, it would require cutting my way through half of Winterfell. Why bother when it seemed like he was going to die of his own accord anyway? And she's like, don't fucking lie to me, or we're done here.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I just told you I threw him from the fucking tower.
Right?
Like, why would I lie about this?
So she shows him the scars and asks if he swears it that he has no part in sending the assassin.
On my honor as a Lannister.
And I mean, not to be fucking savage for savage, recognize real, Cat fucking kicks over his shit pail.
Yeah.
Your honor is worth less than this, as it starts running toward him. Like,
can
you imagine the fresh stench that released into that? And she doesn't fucking, like, she is a badass bitch, like, down here in the dirt, interrogating someone herself, like, and he says, I may have shit for honor, but I've yet to hire someone to do my killing. If I wanted your precious Bran dead, I would have slain him myself. And she can see that he is telling the truth.
She says that to her. She's like, oh my god, he's fucking serious.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
Then it must be Cersei. And Jaime says, if it was Cersei, he'd know. She keeps no secrets from him. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's untrue, Jaime.
No
Sorry,
secrets.
bud. Tyrion
it's not Patch
Moonboy.
Moonboy.
Yep.
Even Moonboy for all I know.
Tyrion is as innocent as your Bran. At least he wasn't climbing around spying on people.
Oh, it's right there, yeah.
Yeah. And a Cat's like, nah, it was his fucking dagger. He won it from Peter Baelish during the tourney on Joffrey's name day. And Jaime drinks a little more, and he's like, yeah, okay. Describe the dagger, and she's like, it was like yay long, Valyrian, dragon bone hilt, fucking swag.
He's like, oh, yeah, I remember
I
this.
recall such a dagger.
Didn't belong to Tyrion. How did he oh, he lost it. But see, here's the thing, though. He only bets on me, and this and that, like, explains it, which then trips her out even further, because she's like,
Tyrion said the same
this
thing.
Is the exact same thing, but these two haven't seen each other
in over a year
since they departed Winterfell.
Yeah.
Meaning since Jaime went south to King's Landing and Tyrion headed north to the Wall.
Yeah, she straight up says in over a year. So, like, yeah, they're not. It's not some lie. Their stories corroborate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus. And he says, it goes on to say that the dagger didn't need to change hands, though, as Robert showed it to me later that night at the feast. We are full spoiler reread. We all know that Joffrey sent the cat's paw.
Yeah, it's like a 99% confirmation.
He went to
alluded to
the baggage train and the loot, the treasure, the great fucking weapons cart that Robert carried with him everywhere. Found a sweet dagger, and to show his father that he could take action, it is thought that he was someone who could handle the situation, because I think he overheard Robert saying it would be a mercy if he were just dead to just die. And so, yeah, this is setting that up a little bit where, Robert had the blade. It was Robert's, and it was in the baggage cart on the way to Winterfell.
But this also sets her wheels spinning about Peter Baelish.
Yep.
And whether he's being honest with her or not.
Right.
And she doesn't like that.
Jaime says that he's beyond lying or caring about what anyone thinks, and now it's his turn for another question. Have Robert's brothers taken the field? And she's like, yep. And he's like, bitch, you start doing that, and we'll do K answers. You want to do K? You want to do K?
I'll text you K.
I'll do K. And she's like, all right, yeah, Stannis marches on King's Landing. Renly was murdered at Bitterbridge by his brother by some black art I do not understand. And he's like, that's a shame. I like Renly.
That's too bad he got murdered by black magic. I like that guy.
Which side of the Tyrell's taken? And she says, Renly at first. Now, she couldn't say. And he's like, well, your boy Rob must be quite lonely then.
Oh, little Robbie boy.
And she's like, Rob is straight slaying it, queen. Like, he just took the crags, so don't come in here with that shit.
Has he fought my father yet?
When he does, he'll defeat him like he did you.
And then he tries pulling that was just cowardice and tricks.
Craven's trick.
He's a little trickster.
And she's like, yo, Tyrion literally just sent like a peace envoy here to break you out. Fuck you, talking about trickery. And he was like, well, when your brother's at stake, what's honor? Tyrion is clever enough to realize that Rob will never consent to ransom me. I'm too valuable. And she's like, again, he's making fucking sense. And she says, yeah, I can't deny it. Rob's bannerman would sooner see you dead. Rickard Karstark in particular, as you slew 2 of his sons in the Whispering Wood. And he's like, oh, yeah, the 2 with the Starburst banner. Yeah.
But any other knight, just like me, would have done the same thing in the heat of battle.
Truth be told, I was trying to kill your son. Like, it wasn't them I was trying to kill, but they got in the way, and it was a fair fight in the heat of battle. Any knight would, right. How are you... That's valid. Why is Rickard Karstark got such a fucking stick up his asshole?
Yeah.
It was a battle. And your son's lost to Jaime Lannister. Sucks to suck, dude. I understand he's the Kingslayer. I understand
holding
the
a
motivation.
personal vendetta against him doesn't,
It's not the Red Wedding yet.
Right.
That's something that you exact vengeance on,
And
right?
she asks him how he can still even call himself a knight at this point. Kingslayer.
And again, one of his best. Because you've forsaken every vow you've ever sworn.
Right.
And he's like, so many vows.
Yeah, he just lists
obey your king, defend the king, obey your father, obey the law.
Now, I think this comes up, isn't this in the hot tub in the show with Brienne and that line?
Yeah. Brienne is the one who calls him on the oath.
I really like that it's going to Catelyn here, because that's going to play a big part on Brienne getting to stay alive at the end of Dance.
Yeah.
And the Jaime arc in particular wins.
Yeah, and essentially it boils down to no matter what you're doing, you're forsaking one oath for another. And then he's getting drunk slowly at this point, but he kind of leans his head back and thinks and contemplates, I was the youngest to ever wear the white cloak. And again, Kat's, you were the youngest to ever betray everything it stood for.
That's where she calls him Kingslayer. And this is where we start learning that it bugs him. He doesn't like it.
Such a king he was, and he toasts him to Aerys Targaryen and the sword that opened his throat. A golden sword, did you know? Until his blood ran it red. And those are Lannister colors, and he starts to chuckle.
And that's when she's like, oh... He's fucking shit-faced.
He's getting shitty.
He hasn't drank in over a year and a half.
Yeah, dude. And he's probably eaten very little.
Next to nothing. He is trash.
Only a man like you would be proud of such an act, she tells him. And again, he's like, I told you, there are no men like me. And then he asks, did Ned ever tell you the manner of his father and brother's death?
And I like this because she's like, I don't. They're dead. What's dead is dead, and we don't need to hear about that.
Well, she answers that they strangled Brandon and killed Rickon while he watched. Rickard, sorry.
Yeah, and he says, Brandon was different than Ned. Blood in his veins instead of cold water. More like me. He just said there were no men like me. Mm-hmm. Not anymore, apparently.
Not anymore.
And she says he was nothing like you, and I think that she is so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
I agree. He was a hothead.
Yeah.
He absolutely was described as a hothead, and I just think she doesn't want to. I also like the point that she just thinks, I do not want to know this. I don't want to know this road this story that he wants to tell me, because obviously... If there's something that he's
urging,
worth
that
bringing
it's not
up,
going to be good.
Yeah, and so she says Brandon was nothing like you, and recounts basically the last time she saw him that he was on his way to River Run when he heard news of Lyanna being taken and went to King's Landing instead. Her father had called him a gallant fool for doing so.
I like that Jaime kind of jumps in. He's like, yes, he arrived there.
With some companions.
Some friends, and she lists them all off. I didn't write them down.
Yeah, no, I didn't write all of them. But this story, Jaime, yeah, because he picks it up. He rode into the Red Keep shouting for Rhaegar to come out and die, but Prince Rhaegar wasn't there. And, like, just that, like, Brandon just riding into the fucking Red Keep, like, Rhaegar, fucking,
come out and die!
What a fight that would have been. Like, And
he was
Aerys
arrested
had the guards sent and arrested all him and his companions.
And they were forced to have their fathers come and bend the knee.
Answer for the charge, yeah.
And swear fealty to him, and then they would be let go, potentially.
When the fathers would come, he killed fathers and sons both without a trial.
I mean, there was technically a trial, but for instance...
Well, real quick, it was Ethan Glover, was Brandon Squire, and the only survivor, so I actually have never really paid attention to him before, so I'll be curious to see if he's...
Ethan Glover.
Kicking around somewhere.
Yeah.
And the rest were accused of treason, and they were all killed, yeah. Then Jaime then notes, there were trials of a sort. Lord Rickard.
Yeah, Lord Rickard he demanded a trial by combat. And so he got to don his armor and went into the throne room. Throne room?
I like that Jaime was like, he may have even been expecting to fight, like, me, one of the Kingsguard.
One of us.
But,
instead, he was suspended over a brazier where there were fires being lit and stoked because fire was the champion of House Targaryen.
All he had to do was not burn.
You just gotta live. You just gotta be Danny.
Brandon was brought in, a leather cord around his neck attached to a device that Aerys had gotten from Tyrosh, and a longsword was placed just out of his reach. Rickard would cook in his armor unless Brandon freed him. But the more Brandon tried, the tighter the cord lashed around his throat, and in the end, he strangled himself.
Yeah, so it's basically like, Saw 3 or whichever one it is, where there weren't actually any ways to win the puzzle.
Right.
And he just was, here, go kill yourself.
Lord Rickard cooked in his armor. I stood at the foot of the Iron Throne, filling my head with thoughts of Cersei. And afterward, Gerald Hightower took me aside and said, "We swore a vow to guard the king, not judge him." And that was Gerald Hightower, loyal to a fault.
Dude. So, he was a kid, what was he, 16?
Jaime was 16, yeah.
And so he's, clearly there's some hardcore PTSD for this guy here as well. He was 16 and had to just sit there and think of his sister, the person he loved,
Go to his happy place.
Yeah, because he was sitting there watching a man burn alive.
A father and son. Who the father's watching his son strangle himself while the father's burning as the father's watching
and then has to be taken, because he says he remembers Gerald Hightower taking him, but I feel like that was Gerald Hightower taking this 16-year-old kid by the shoulders to the side and going, "Listen, dude, it's fucked. It's not our job to fucking judge him, though. We just obey. You can't. I know you're done for life. You're a fucked guy now."
Catelyn tastes bile at this and says that Aerys was mad the whole realm knew it, but if you'd have me believe that you slew him to avenge Brandon Stark...
fuck the Starks. I don't like them. It wasn't anything to do with them.
Yeah, they were never anything to me, and he goes on to say that your Ned should have kissed the hand that slew Aerys, but instead he preferred to scorn the arse on Robert's throne. I think Ned loved him better than his brother or his father, or even you, my lady. He was never unfaithful to Robert, was he? And then he just laughs, and he's like, "Isn't this all terribly amusing?" And she's like, "I find nothing about you amusing, Kingslayer."
There it is. There's that name again.
That name again.
I don't think I do want to fuck you. I think that I'd rather just not.
Your little finger sloppy seconds, aren't you? Didn't he have you first?
Ooh.
And then he goes on to say, "And you aren't half so lovely as Cersei." So, yak.
Which reminds me, technically, I've been more faithful than your Ned, because I've only ever been with her. What's that bastard's name?
Poor old dead Ned. What's his bastard's name?
It's Snow.
So, Cat turns and, "Brienne?" And he's like, "Nope, that's not it.
That's not the one.
It was something, Snow. That's it. Such a white name. White and pretty, like the cloaks they give the Kingsguard when we say our pretty vows."
This guy is shitty.
Yeah. So Brienne opens the door and steps in.
My lady.
And Catelyn holds out her hand and says, give me your sword.
Now, good on Martin for just that. That's such a fucking cliffhanger.
Oh,
ending
yeah,
for
yeah.
her. Just a huge
Because
one.
you don't know, like, it's not an immediate, oh, she killed him. It's a, what did she do here?
Well,
like,
you do sort of assume.
Well, he's straight up saying, like, fuck Ned, your dead husband. So, yeah, you're kind of like, she has to go and just cut his throat out.
Yeah, like,
but...
what else would she do? You wouldn't... I mean, not that you wouldn't or couldn't, but, like, it's just so unlikely that she's going to go in there and free him to trade him for her daughter.
Not even necessarily free, but, like, just what could she be doing?
Yeah.
The what it's left on. And I love the last taste we're left with Jaime, just of how he is and the way he thinks and how he interacts with people, because him and Brienne are some of the best interactions in the series. So, you got an inductee?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to the Gaoler. Because that dude's just trying to do his job. He's probably going to get in a shitload of trouble because he let Catelyn in there who frees this guy. That means they're likely going to knock him the fuck out on the way out. But, like, that guy just, he's going to be having a rough few weeks here soon. So I'm going to bring in the Gaoler.
The Gaoler. All right, word. Mine is going to be Brandon Stark. Because I love the fucking Red Keep.
Dude.
Like him going in and calling out Rhaegar and his just hot-headed rage. Fucking come out and die. So, Brandon Stark for being the fucking lovable hothead stud that half the realm loved and who lost his life to the Mad King for being a shit.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and read June's email. Archmaester June. It's a pretty hearty one, but I really like just about everything she says in this, and so I'll try to get through it as quickly and concisely as I can. Feel free to stop if you need me to, if you want to interject your shit. Hello. Great Tyrion episode, loved it. The next chapter is a perfect companion. We see the juxtaposition of two mothers trying to navigate a dangerous world which threatens to consume them and their children whole and spit them out. In Cersei's case, she is foolish enough to think that she has neutralized her biggest threat by hitting Tyrion where it hurts. She is trying to protect her children, but she seems to be mainly enjoying the cruelty of her actions for their own sake. Her lack of empathy or contrition regarding the death of Bran and Rickon show the hard, callous person underneath. Look at how she treats Tommen in her feast chapters. The reaction of Catelyn to the loss of her children draws close parallels between herself and Cersei. You can feel her humanity seeping out her pores as she thirsts for vengeance. She wants them all dead. Her kill list reminds us of Arya's prayer. Just another stream of death. What will it achieve? The time she takes to interrogate Jaime allows her time to reflect and decide on action rather than simply reacting and putting that sword through him. Her actions are, of course, considered reckless by Robb's bannermen, but I think she showed great restraint given the situation. Ultimately, Westerosi society wrings women out, uses them as breeding machines, placing the huge responsibility of ensuring the future of their families on their shoulders while giving them almost no agency. Then their children become fodder to keep the power structure intact, sacrificed out of hand at the whim of the men in command of the game. I think Lady Stoneheart is born in this chapter. The process of Catelyn going from a loving mother to a hollow shell full of hate and vengeance is well underway. The difference with Cersei is that she gets there without the death and resurrection part. Her inductee, Brienne, always Brienne. Her gentle sympathy and protective presence is just a breath of fresh air in this story. Could not agree more. Thank you so much, Archmaester.
And, like, I'm in no way, shape, or form mean this in a derogatory term. Brienne is, like, or in a derogatory way, she's like the anxiety dog. Like, she's just this big, floppy puppy that, like, is just so sweet. And, like, she tries to take Kat's hand, but, like, doesn't want to make, like, unnecessary or unwanted gestures, and like, god damn it, Brienne, you're just awesome.
That's it. I've mentioned it before that my first read or two, I wasn't a big fan, but now I'm just the biggest fanboy of some Brienne of Tarth. So
we also got an inductee. Thank you, Archmaester June. We also got an inductee from Julian in France, and he says, "Hello, boys. Intense chapter. First, a sadness, and it appears clear that Catelyn is on her way to becoming obsessed with revenge. Does she doubt Littlefinger about the dagger yet? Hard to tell. But that whole conversation with Jaime was so great. It is kind of the first time we get a long talk involving him, so I get to discover his train of thoughts, love for his family, and overall intelligence. Brilliant chapter, really. As for my inductee, well, this is hard. There are so many choices here, so many important characters are mentioned, especially during the cell talk. Why not induct Sansa? In this chapter, she was referred by her mother as the pretty thing, but she's so much more. The little bird is growing, and God, I wish Catelyn could see it. Have a good night, guys. Valar Tulliaris. Maybe
that
she
makes
will
me
see.
sad. That makes me sad,
Maybe
though.
she will see.
Maybe Lady Stoneheart will see, but she's a cold bitch. Like, what do you expect from that encounter?
A warm, loving reunion that restores Catelyn to the loving mother she is.
Yeah, Disney ending. Fuck you.
No. All right. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Archmaester June. Those were our thoughts, feelings, and opinions. That was it for Cat.
All done with Cat for Clash of
Rob,
Kings.
Cat, and Jamie are pretty much tied up for this book, so we'll see them in A Storm of Swords.
Storm of Swords. We might get a little bit of talk.
Yeah, we'll get some talk, I'm
But,
sure. But
yeah.
So next we're going to be joining Theon. This is Theon's second to last, so it is not yet his last, but and
Getting close.
that'll be Theon 5. Theon 6 is his last.
Yes.
So send us inductees for Theon 5, and after Theon, I believe we're into Blackwater, motherfucker.
Blackwater.
And I think it's Davos.
Sweet.
So
Sweet.
we're getting there, folks. We're about to finish this book. Send us inductees for the last few chapters that we got.
Yeah, and then we'll be prepping for that Storm of Swords.
Fuck.
It's
Yes.
gonna be sick.
Alrighty, Valar Harris.
Peace.